Mostly it was just finding some of the locations. I think one of the things I didn't realize going in was just how remote some of these locations are. And something that's particularly impressive about going to these locations is, understanding the gravity of being in an environment that is mostly accessible now, but difficult to get to. And thinking back, 3 centuries, 4 centuries, 10 centuries, how difficult it was to get to these locations then, and build these impressive locations. I've been to all the great sites of Rome and Paris, and these places are accessible. These places in eastern Turkey are absolutely remote in the 21st century, so to think of their remoteness, 1,000 years ago is very impressive.
I know you have taken thousands of photos, and I know that there were so many areas you visited. It's such a vast area you covered. How long was the trip?
The trip was 18 days in total, of which 14 days were out east, between starting in Trabzon and ending in Van.
There's a lot of area you've covered, obviously, and let me get to the one area that every Armenian is speaking these days, the island of Akhtamar and the Surkhach, Holy Cross Armenian Church. And you're very, very well aware of what is happening there. There will be church services there in that small church. Describe to us that whole area and the church.
Well, so Van is an up-and-coming area, and I got into Van, and immediately I wanted to get to Akhtamar as soon as I could. So I started by using the guidebooks, trying to figure out where everything was, and it was a bit of a challenge because there's a number of places claiming to be the place that gets you to Akhtamar, but
like any other area in the world, yeah.
Like any other burgeoning tourist destination, and it was a matter of finding the right ones, the ones who would get you out there quickly. And there are 2 primary locations that where you can get a ferry boat out, basically hourly. To Akhtamar, that run between, I think like 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. And also you can do private charters, but of course they're more expensive. But there was a fair bit of traffic. I mean, there was a lot of German and Japanese tourists, Turkish tourists, some Armenians, French Armenians there as well.
So you cross over onto the island of Akhtamar. How long is the trip, and what is it like? Tell us, what do you see first, and what does it feel like when you go into the church, Surkhach?
So it's a 20-minute ferry ride, which actually I captured on my small video camera, the entire ride over. And you go up the hill to this island, and it's this very small island that is, as I was saying earlier, it has many turtles living on it, and is actually kind of in profile shaped like a turtle when you see it from the shore. And about 1/3 of the island is publicly accessible, where Surkhach is, as well as basically the cemetery and some khachkars and so forth. And then the rest is fenced off, although like many fences, they're kind of it's still kind of accessible, but officially not. So I took some pictures from the edges of the accessible part of the island of the church, as well as inside, which it's a very small church. There's a main entryway which has this 4-foot door, and you get through that. And of course, I had my pack of enormous loads of camera equipment. So here I am, like banging on the door, and I get through, and I made some photographs inside the church.
What about the outside? I've seen some pictures lately of the outside engravings, and the work of art is just incredible. At least that's what I feel seeing the pictures.
The engravings are intense, just in their detail. There's just so much. They're so rich. You can spend, literally hours just looking at those, just looking at every detail of the various things that are depicted, various biblical stories that are depicted, and just the craftsmanship of everything is very impressive.
You know about the Turco-Armeno-Turkish relationships. You know the history. You discuss it in homes. The question is these days: should Armenians go to Surkhach or not? Should we boycott? Should we not? Should we support whatever is happening around us or not? There's also a concert I'm sure you're well aware of.
Well, I do understand the there is some pretty serious politics. I mean, within my own family, through marriage now, you understand and you participate in the debates that everyone has an opinion from in all extremes. My feeling is that you pay the utmost respect to the artisans, to the practitioners, and to the religious people who inhabit these locations by visiting them. So my feeling is going to Akhtamar, but using Akhtamar not as an end in itself, but going to Sarpas as a starting point. I mean, the Van region is rich in Armenian history. Encircling the entire lake, as well as going south towards Iran, there's actually an Armenian village I had never heard about in the mountains south of Van that I wasn't able to visit because it's a 2 or 3 hour drive away. But there's an immense amount of history, and most people I found were very helpful in trying to locate these places. And there's a wonderful place called Yedi Kilise. There's another place in a town called Altansach called Garmirvank, which is this wonderful monastery that's at the top of a 3-kilometer hike up a mountain. But most interestingly, I've heard about the services going on next month on the 19th on Akhtamar, which I think would be important to attend. Although I would say, like I said, if you can't go during this time, there are other times to go, and you should certainly go to these places. Also, the piano recital by Shahan Arzruni, sounds very impressive, and I think it's something that's definitely worth attending.
By now it's public information, I think, that Shahan Arzruni will be in Van performing at the University of Van on September the 18th. But very few of our listeners do know that that same concert will be repeated in New York City on October the 7th. And this is being promoted by the Consul General of Turkey. And again, works are underway to encourage Armenians and Turks to come out and enjoy the works of 3 Armenian composers and 3 Turkish composers. Again, obviously, that too will raise some eyebrows, and some people will not be comfortable. I know you said something beautiful about this whole situation. What was it?
Which part?
I mean, you said something about supporting these, or the past cannot be not forgotten or changed, or moving ahead.
Well, I think like I was saying to you personally, that moving ahead, in terms of understanding history, respecting history, and to really move beyond that, and to achieve a dialogue that is shall we say, a future-looking dialogue. You have to respect that history, but also look forward, to look beyond that, to get beyond the history, and define a new existence.
This, especially the recent developments with a concert in New York on October the 7th, makes many people uncomfortable. But I also have to admit that there are many people who are going to support that concert, Armenians who will be supporting that. And we have, different reactions, which is very understandable in situations such as this. So I believe the concert will move ahead. Hopefully it will be successful. I don't think Armenians will have anything to lose. We may not have too much to gain also, but it is just one small move in a complicated game of chess, and maybe it's just a small pawn we may be giving up or getting. But I personally would like to see more openness on the part of Turkey, especially when it comes to Surpkhach. There's a big debate about whether they're going to have a cross or not cross on the church. I don't know if you were aware of these issues. And I think they should have a cross permanently on the church, the Holy Cross Armenian Church.